We've finished the series of Exodus. And in today's passage, we see that the events of the Exodus in Egypt are in the rear view clearly. The time of slavery in Egypt, the first Passover, the Red Sea crossing, the call of Moses, and the people starting their journey towards the Promised Land have all come and gone so quickly, it seems, and it is now 2 years that they have been wandering in the wilderness. Wandering and wandering for 2 years. They're no longer slaves in Egypt, and they're hoping and praying and seeking a land flowing with milk and honey that has been promised to them, but yet it seems like it's still just as far away as Egypt that they have left. They've been wandering around for 2 years, and they've been wondering if they're ever going to see it. In fact, some have missed out on that opportunity. Some have already died and have not seen the Promised Land. Some have been born and they're learning the stories, and all they know is hope and promise, and they know nothing of slavery in Egypt. New relationships have been forged, and all the while they walk and they wonder as they wonder. And so they need a time of recharging. And so they petition Moses to ask about this, and Moses asks God on their behalf. And God gives a time of recharging, a way of helping them to be recharged. And God does this for them, and by extension us, by giving them relief, routine, reminder, and relationship. For them and for us, we know that we need time with God to find relief. Imagine a 2-year span in the wilderness. Life gets hectic and chaotic. Like the Israelites, we may feel we have become slaves to our daily routines, our wants, our needs, our jobs, or any number of things that fill our lives with so much busyness. And so we need time to refocus and rejuvenate ourselves, and so we spend time alone. We need our time with only us and God, a time that will help us out as we proceed from there. We need relief that God gives us. We find that relief through what God is doing for us, just as He gives relief through this Passover celebration in this week's passage. As we find that relief, God then helps us to have routine centered on Him so that we can remain focused on Him. As we look at this story of the Israelites wandering in the wilderness, I can see a great deal of myself in them. They've been wandering for 2 years, living in a chaotic and transient state, and no doubt for many of us, we've been living in a chaotic and transient state for the last 2 years ourselves. We, like them, are hoping and praying that the God of Moses is one who keeps His promises and things will go back to normal. And I don't know about you, but as we've been dealing with this new normal for 2 years, some of us are hoping that we can get back to some sort of routine that we knew before. We like routine. It's something that we know. It's something comfortable. It's something predictable. We like to know when, how, and why things are going to happen. Now, it's something that I've learned as I've grown throughout the years. I need more predictability and controlled environments. I work better with predictability. As much as I may shoot from the hip and be spontaneous, a lot of times it's having routine that allows me to be comfortable in doing that. It's knowing that there are guidelines in which to be spontaneous in. I realize that I'm better focused and a better person when I'm experiencing routine that God gives me. I like to know that this hour of the day is dedicated to this, and this day of the week is dedicated to that. It's something that I've had to learn to do more and more as I've gotten older, that, this time of day is dedicated to, I'm getting up at this time, and I'm beginning to plan everything for the day, and I'm fixing breakfast, and then I'm working on this project, and then I'm eating lunch, and then working on that project, and then planning for this, and then dinner, and then winding down. I like that. I like knowing that my days are planned for me, that at the beginning of the week, I know that Sunday, the only day that I work, I know that that's dedicated to church and everything for that. And I know Monday is a recovery day, and I know that Tuesday is a time of planning for next Sunday, for the bulletin, for the sermon, to begin trying to get everything pieced together for that. That Wednesday is for Bible study and choir practice. That Thursday is dedicated to meeting with other pastors to talk about what our plans are for that Sunday, and how things are going in the life of the church. And between that and Friday, trying to put all the finishing touches that have begun on Tuesday into Sunday's worship, and taking Friday and Saturday as a day of kind of just letting everything set and marinate, so that by Sunday I'm ready. That I know that everything's going according to this routine that I've set for myself. And if anything happens in between to mess up that routine, things go awry, and I'm trying to rob from Peter to pay Paul to find time to try to get my routine somewhere back to what I'm used to. Maybe you're like me, you work better in predictability in a controlled environment. But as we see in today's passage, the wilderness is anything but controlled. It's anything but predictable. It's desolate, it's lonely, and very often it's out of control. It's something that causes us to realize that we need some routine, we need some ritual. The people of Israel, they know that they don't have the routine that they want. They've had to get used to some sort of routine, but it's not one that they're comfortable with. It's just one that they've had to learn to live with. It's one that they've had to learn to adapt to, and they really didn't go along so willingly on that. And so they need some ritual to help remind them of who God is. God reminds us of who he is through ritual. It's a remembrance ceremony. As Moses meets with God, and God says, tell the people of Israel that I'm giving them a new ritual, a new reminder of who I am and what I've done, that we're going to celebrate Passover. As Moses tells the people this, they're excited for this new ritual, this new festival. It's met with immediate obedience. In fact, even those who at that point coming up or know that they're going to be ritualistically unclean, that they know that they aren't going to be able to celebrate the Passover with the community for whatever reason, they ask Moses, can you ask God before we celebrate this, is there any way that we can celebrate it like a week later? Is there a way that we can celebrate it at a different time? Because we want to celebrate this. We want this ritual. We just can't do it on this particular day because of these other rituals that God has commanded. And so Moses asks God on their behalf, and God tells Moses, tell them to celebrate it a month later. Tell them to make themselves ritualistically clean, and then at the appropriate time of month after the Passover that everybody else is celebrating, tell them to do that and they will be good. They want to feel close to God too. They want to be part of the community too. They're yearning for familiarity and routine, and they want to participate in a reminder of home and the community that they are still part of, but have to remain separate because they're ritualistically unclean. Bringing back a Passover ritual, bringing back that routine to the Israelites, reminds them that God is still with them, that he continues to be with them. God is with them in the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire that guides them by day and night, that goes ahead of and behind them. He is in the pillar of cloud and fire that has saved them during the crossing of the Red Sea. And yet they want something else to remind them. And so they celebrate the Passover again as a new festival. Even when they feel lost in the wilderness and they feel like Maybe they can't see the cloud of fire and those pillars, even when they feel like they can't see that. They want some sort of connection to God. And so the ritual of Passover serves as a reminder to them that they are not forgotten. God remembers them. God has not forgotten them. God remains with them in the midst of their chaos and distress. And although He is with them and He remembers, when maybe their memories are failing, they are given the option of celebrating Passover to remind them of what maybe is failing in their memory. And in doing so, they can reconnect with God. They're drawn back through renewal and Sabbath into relationship with God. This week's text serves as a reminder to us that when our lives are chaotic and in distress, and even when it seems like minor distress, ask people around us. We probably are a lot more stressed and maybe depressed than we know. When we ask them how we're doing and they tell us that they observe that, maybe take some time away to recharge. Take some time to reset. Take some time alone, some time out and get away. And remember that God remains faithful to us as He did with the Israelites. Right? A lot of us probably have used the phrasing to get away. You know, maybe you've said it or you've heard it yourself. I just need to get away from it all. I need to get away from everything going on. This type of thinking is probably what leads us to the need for our retreats to recharge and renew. And that's well and good. We need that from time to time. That's what Sabbath is about. That's what this time of Passover is about for the people of Israel. We need to take our Sabbath and be careful not to overtax ourselves. Yes, we need to get away from everything, and sometimes everyone. But the danger is that we get away from everyone, including God. Getting away should not mean that we get away from everyone. Get away from 99.9% of everyone. Get away from everyone but the one who has loved and created us, that is God. God is there where we go. So get away from all the things going on in the world from time to time. Find God in that place by ourselves. God's ready for us there. He seeks to be there with us when we need to get away from everything and everyone else. He wants us to help to break the bonds of slavery when we've changed ourselves to Him, to the routines that we create, not what He has. When we've chained ourselves to our jobs, our busyness, and everything else that we've put in place, God wants to be with us without all the distractions so that we can be in a healthier communion with one another and with Him when we need Him the most. So next time that you feel called to go to the retreat center, to go vacation, to take some Sabbath, take that time. Take that time to be away from all the distractions of the world and reconnect with God. Shut the office door. Break the routine and be alone with God for a while. Remember that running away from everything and everyone is not really the goal, not running away, but taking some intentional time to be able to recharge yourself. To be intentional with God as He is intentional with us, trying to reestablish and work on the relationship with us. It's time when we can be most open with Him and His love and faithfulness. Because let's face it, too often we're tired and weary from everything else Like the Israelites, when we clear away the clutter of 2 years of chaos, our hearts are ripe for the gentle and meaningful reminders that God remains by our side in all that we do. You know, in the last 2 years, you know, we're getting to the point of some of us being able to relax. Take that time as we maybe are making progress on that. Take that time to relax, to turn the temperatures down, to recharge, to refocus, to rethink. You know, when we started all of this journey 2 years ago, we looked at it, well, maybe it's a time to recharge and rethink. And we maybe did that for a little bit, but now we've gotten seemingly further and further from what we should be. We've gotten more deeply entrenched in our tribalism and our passions of this world and not passion for God. So take some time and reset. If you haven't taken some time, some Sabbath, to just turn off the television and the social media, take that time away. Don't read everything in the newspaper and social media and listen to that on television and on the radio. Recharge and renew and find some relief that we can be better as people. Because through all of this, whether we've been aware of it, whether we've trusted enough in it or not, God has remained by our side in all that we do, but especially in our wilderness wanderings. So take the time to reset, to recharge, and refocus and find relief. To find God once again and to find where you belong in His kingdom, so that you might be better for it in all that you say, in all that you do, and all that you think. Take that time, being intentional, to recharge and reset. And He will reward you for doing so. And those that you interact with will be much more easier to deal with, I'm sure. Jesus took His time to step away often enough to reset and recharge and then to begin everything again. May we be like Him and take those times as needed, maybe more so than we've done recently or before. Find that recharge and that reset in your life. Amen.